What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of my Dark Deku Cosplay series. Today's episode we're going to be working on the leg armor. Now in this arc, Deku is drawn pretty dark and it's pretty hard to find the little details in the suit because it's drawn very dirty and damaged. So when building my leg armor, I decided to take the most recent design of the leg armor and then take that and the way that that was drawn and then use that to kind of merge what I saw together. I made a little drawing of the armor as I saw it and then I made little notes on it, how I wanted to fit, things that I noticed in the leg armor, just little things like that I took notice in order to make the costume a little more accurate. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now in the end, when I show off me wearing this, they might not look like they're in place, but I promise you when I make the actual jumpsuit, I'm going to add some Velcro in there so that whenever I wear them, it does sit properly. And you can see on my Instagram, if you follow me there, make sure to follow my Instagram by the way, you can see the leg armor really stays in place. So keep in mind later on down the line, I'm adding Velcro to the inside of the leg armor. That's pretty much all for now for the intro. Make sure to follow me on Instagram to see little updates on things that I'm doing, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel to see how I make my builds and how my cosplay journey transforms later on down the line. But as for now, I'm going to go ahead and send you off to the rest of the video. Hope you guys enjoy and follow along, and I'll talk to you guys later. I could still alter all this stuff, but you can see I marked the middle of the front. That's probably not the exact middle, that's just there to give me an idea. I made a little arch here, but you can see here when I was bending my leg, it bunched up a lot on just the tape here. And you can imagine how much more resistant that's going to be if I'm wearing it with foam. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this part out of the final piece, so that way I have more mobility in my knee. Now this part right here doesn't really show up with all the tears and how tethered it is, but still I'm going to try to keep this bottom part here, at least like the bottom half of that, and then the rest of it going all the way around would look very tattered. And then on the back here, there's gonna be about this much right here. This part's not gonna get the canvas. The canvas is the fabric that I'm going to be gluing over the foam, similar to how I did with the mask. So the canvas is going to be glued all from this point all the way around, and the rest of the canvas is just going to flare out, this similar to the mask, 23 inches. So I'm going to go to the front and then measure out half of that. That's going to be 11.5 inches. Cut that along with my mark here. So we can modify this if we need to, but this is pretty much the part that's going to be touching my leg. I cut it in half just so that when I make this template, it matches the exact same on the other side. So there's this part. This is going to be the front part. This is the top piece. And then this is where it's going to give my leg room to bend down. I'm going to go ahead and make this available for free since it was so easy to make. I'm pretty sure the bottom one's going to be the same. But keep in mind, you know, everyone's sized differently. You saw how easy it was to make. I recommend that you do it yourself. Here you can see I have some 10mm foam. This thing is huge. So I've sanded down the little edge here to make like a bevel, and then I put some masking tape and some duct tape over this section here above where I sanded down. I did this because I'm going to go ahead and add an extra layer of foam, not as thick as the 10mm foam. I'm going to go ahead and use the 6mm foam that I used for the mask. I marked sections here and here. Everything in between that is going to be glued onto here, and then the rest is going to flare out. It's going to emulate the torn pieces of fabric that comes off of the back of the leg piece, and that is what's going to help hold up the canvas or whatever fabric I choose to cover this in. Now I also got to decide how far out the fabric is going to come. I'm going to probably want it to go about, I'm going to cut out 6 inches. That's a little longer than what I actually want, but I would rather have extra there that I could cut off later than I would regretting not having more. Doesn't have to be pretty. We are gonna make this look all tethered up, so the bottom part really is the only clean cut yet to make, and not even. Okay, I'm gonna mark where I have that piece. Now I know that I have the rest of this to play with. So I'm gonna go a little higher than the lines are over here. Now, although I said that this cut should be better, you are gonna sand it afterwards. So it doesn't have to be beautiful. This back here will flare out, and then I could cut a design here. Line that up there. I'm gonna line it up on this side. Now I'm just gonna mark that there so that I know not to put any glue there. So I just mark the negative over here. So I'm gonna start gluing this on. I'm only gonna glue about to this point here. Same thing on the other side. Try to mess with it a little bit, like pulling it down so that it matches this curve here. And then I can make the little tattered designs over here. So here's the template for the calf part. Now I did the exact same thing I did with the thighs. It was the exact same process, so I didn't feel the need to show it again. So this of course mirrors onto this side. So this piece is also going to be layered. So the template as you see it right now, we're gonna cut that out on 10mm foam. After we do that, you can see that there's a line right here. So this bottom part here, which is 1 inch from the edge, that's gonna be taken off of the first 10mm foam. And then this remaining piece here, we're gonna cut that out with another 10mm, and then we're also gonna cut out one more 6mm foam to do the fins like how we are gonna do it on the thighs. And then only after all 3 pieces are sandwiched onto each other, we're gonna make this bevel here. I'm gonna go ahead and change the pattern here so that this bottom part can continue, and then it gradually goes into this one here. Okay, so I went ahead and finished this one just so that we could get an idea of what I'm trying to do, because I feel like this is easier than explaining it. So you can see I added a little piece right here. I didn't take into account how much the thickness was going to restrict. You can see that seam is not very beautiful either. That's fine with me, because what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to add carbon fiber vinyl down here just to make the leg armor look a little more high-tech. And then you can see I sanded down how I wanted it. I have a sharp angle here on top, and also just not as much, but I have an angle here too, and then it kind of smooths over the back so that way it hugs the bottom of the calf and it looks a lot more seamless than before. This is pretty much exactly how it looked before all that sanding. That's about an hour and a half of sanding. Now I'm gonna sand exactly how I did this one with this one here. I'm gonna take this time to say it's very important that, especially when sanding something like foam, you wear a respirator with the proper filter on it, because you really do not want any of this in your lungs. You're gonna see how messy this table is gonna be after sanding this, like even just a little bit of this, and you do not want any of these particles in your lungs. So make sure that you wear respirator with the proper filters on it. So here you can see just how much stuff comes off of that. There's not even half of it, because most of the time I was like taking it and just sanding it over my lap. But you can see it's all over my arms, it's all over my clothes. But now we have both calf armor pieces sanded. Now what we're gonna do is the same thing we did with the thighs, we're gonna put a piece of the white 6mm foam over this, leave some sticking out of the back here, and then we could decide what the design on the back is gonna be. You do not want all of this in your lungs, so make sure you wear a respirator, please. So both pieces are sanded, my table is clean, and you can see here I drew out sort of what I want the torn pieces of canvas to look like. So nothing has to be done around the knee area. I already have the 6mm white foam on the thigh pieces here, and we're gonna cut out the entire top from this piece and then match the torn parts on the parts that stick out here. And then we need to attach the foam onto the calf pieces here. So I'm only going to attach the foam pieces on this flat part here, not where I've already sanded down the angles. And then I'm gonna match that going all the way down to about this point here. You can tell I'm not being really careful with drawing this one out either. So it's really hard. This is my first time working with something like vinyl. I'm getting like these creases here, of course, and I'm probably gonna get some on the edges as well since it's a three-dimensional shape. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut those out and then maybe like Dremel in a little bit and then paint it silver so that those look like they're cracks instead of the folded over vinyl. I'm gonna try my best to get at least the middle section as good as possible because that's like the first thing that you're gonna see. So I sanded down the little ends here so that it's a lot skinnier, so that it kind of matches more of it being fabric that's kind of going over everything. Now what I need to do is I need to spray paint the white parts. I need to paint them black, and I'm gonna use some black Plasti Dip right here. And I don't need to cover the whole thing because most of it's gonna be covered in the canvas or the vinyl in the back. So really the only thing I need to spray is maybe the top of the white part here, and then the top of the fins, and then the back area here that you're able to see. Because this might not be covered in canvas, so I want to make sure that that's black. But before I do that, I have to seal the foam. The way you do that is with a heat gun. You hold the heat gun on the foam that you want to seal. That's going to close all the little pores in the foam so that after you're done spray painting, it doesn't come out very bubbly. So before taking off all the masking tape, I have an X-Acto knife here, and I'm just going to glide this on the very edge, just in case any of the Plasti Dip is built up and stuck to the masking tape. That way I could take that off without any of the Plasti Dip sticking onto both pieces. You can see how I painted this one and the calf part. Alright, so I cut out a 30 by 11.5 inch piece of canvas out. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to contact cement it onto this is the thigh part right here. On the back of here, I've already marked where the midway point is, so I could just put some contact cement here, contact cement just right here, and then line it up. Now there's extra space on the top and bottom, that way I could wrap it around the edges here. Not these edges, because this is going to be tethered up pieces of the canvas. But like going around the bottom part here, I'm going to wrap it underneath. This is also just going to be torn pieces. I have the middle point there. I'm just going to line it up to the middle of there. You can go ahead and grab some pins to hold it in place. Now I'm just going to glue it by sections going across, and after that's done, I could cut off the edges and make it look a lot weathered. But what I'm gonna do now is I got some really rough sandpaper here. You can see it's that. And then I'm gonna do it very harshly all over the edge here. And then I'm gonna use it. I could also just sand one specific spot. And it'll give me effects like scratches grazing against this armor. I'm using these gloves just to weather them because I'm dealing with sandpaper. So basically just keep sanding the edges until I get all the way around and it looks closer to this side. You can see I went really rough the edges here. His costume gets like a furry texture on it. That's because of all the weathering happening to it, and you can see how that happens here. I also have these nails here, and I kind of very roughly grind them onto the piece here. I do it long ways too, just so that you don't have 4 uniform scratches, because that's not likely to happen in his scenario. This is my weathering for now. I'm eventually gonna paint this. You can see how it gives it a feathery edge going all the way around. So now we're gonna go ahead and make the knee pad. It's really simple, just blocks here, 5 inches by 4 inches. I'm going to sandwich one of these 6mm ones into 2 of these 10mm, making a total of 26 centimeters. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a place for my knee to sit. And you can see here I have 2 10mm glued together, and then I just cut a 45-degree there. And the bottom there I cut to 1.5, 38, and they're gonna go on both sides. Here and here, they're gonna be glued on, and then I'm gonna glue on this 6mm foam because it's a lot softer, it's a lot squishier. I'm just gonna stick that in there. Then I'm gonna sand everything so that it looks good, and I'm going to come out with another one of these. This is a finished and sanded knee pad. You can see it makes it look a lot bigger, and it's going to make it a lot more comfortable when if I do like kneel down. My knee has something soft that it's going to lay on. So I already marked here where that's going to go. I'm going to put on a mask, and then we're going to glue everything on. Here we have the side rivets for the knee pads. You can see I have one attached. I have this little hole here that I punched out, and you just stick that one end through there. There we go. And then with our little TPU washer that we made, which is just a cylinder that's really short, and because of the way that it is shaped, we could stick that little washer, or there's probably another name for it, but stick that through, And now that's really difficult to take off, and now this piece is attached on there. And it is replaceable just in case something breaks, but now both of the knee pads are done. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Now, a little reminder from the beginning, I'm going to be adding Velcro into the leg armor and also on the jumpsuit so that it stays where it needs to be. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. And if you remember from my last video where I mentioned I went to San Japan in these, they didn't take as much damage as I thought they would. It was really easy to walk around. I didn't have to worry about hitting people with the fins in the back. And most importantly, I was able to sit down and also go up a flight of stairs in them without any trouble at all. If you guys are working on your own Dark Deku cosplay and you're using some of the stuff that I showed you, or just if you were inspired by a little section, basically if you just made a Dark Deku cosplay, please send it over to me on Instagram. I would really love to see what you guys came up with. And I've gotten a few already and they look pretty amazing, just the way that how people personalize. And also another thing, I think I'm going to be streaming on Twitch my commission whenever I'm working on commissions or very repetitive things in a cosplay that I'm working on. I might find time to stream that. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the internet down here. So if you're interested in something like that, follow me on Twitch. It's gonna be linked in the description. But that's it for now. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see how my cosplay journey pans out, and also just how I build some of the stuff that I create. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next episode of whatever I do. Goodbye.